Welcome to an all-new episode of Get Lit with Lianna, the podcast. Join me as I sit down with a new guest author in each episode to discuss their books, careers, and everything in between. Welcome, Annabelle, to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. I obviously just read It's a Love Story, and the book now is out when this episode comes live. So I'm very excited to be able to chat with you today. But firstly, I would love to hear how you're feeling leading up to the release, knowing that in just obviously like a day, the book will be out. So how are we feeling?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so
Sure.
glad to be here. And I feel good. You know, it's sort of like I've done all the things that I can control, right? Like I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I went on social media and I said, you guys, you should read my book. I don't know any more things to do. So now the book's going to come out and I'm going to go on tour. And that is honestly the most fun part of my year is just going out, meeting readers. Everybody shows up like with a big smile on their face. Like no one's ever in a bad mood at a book
That's
event.
the best. That's the best. So where are
It
you
is the
going?
best.
Where is this tour going? Do you know offhand, like where you're going?
Yeah, so I'm going all over the US. I'm starting in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, going to Raleigh, Los Angeles, Austin, Dallas, Boston, St. Louis, Charleston.
Oh my gosh.
I'm forgetting something.
That's
but yeah,
so
I'm going to
fun.
a lot of places. Yeah.
And it's all back to back, or do you get to go home in between it all?
All the stuff I just said is back to back. And then I go to Brooklyn, which is I'll sleep in my bed when I go to Brooklyn because it's close. And then I'm going to go up to Michigan. I'm going to do some stuff in Rhode Island. So then after a couple of weeks, I'll go back out again.
That is so fun. Okay, so before we talk about It's a Love Story, I would love to know a little bit more about you and your writing background and kind of how your entire career came to be. Obviously, you have so many books under your belt, but like, what was the beginning genesis of your writing career like, and how did this kind of all come to be?
Well, it's like, this is not the career path that you can share with young people and be like, you should do it the way Annabelle did it. I, like from when I was a little kid, always wanted to be a writer. Like that was what I was going to do. And I chose my university because it had a good writing program and I was an English major there and I took writing classes. And then as I was a senior in college, all of my friends were moving to New York City. And it dawned on me, literally for the first time, that you can't get a job writing books and like pay your rent. That's not a thing. And sadly, I did not have a trust fund. So I got a job on Wall Street. And my plan was I was going to work during the day on Wall Street and then I'd write at night.
Okay.
Did not work out that way. I just worked at night. And so then I kind of got sucked into that and I gave up the whole idea of writing. I went back to school. I got a master's in business. I went back and worked in investment banking. Bunch of things. I got married. I had a baby. And then I was at home with 3 children before I wrote anything. And I was 37 years old. So that's when I started. And I wrote a couple of books for young adults that people haven't really read. And I started writing a column for my local paper that actually was more successful than my books and got picked up by and published in a lot of different places. And I think that's where I started to get my confidence as a writer. And then I wrote the first of these books that we're talking about, Nora Goes Off Script, when I was 50.
Crazy.
So yeah, late start. I mean, it's really
amazing. No, but
your life is not over.
100%. And people really talk obviously about like the whole second act thing. And the fact that you were able to like live out a dream and have already had such like a full life and a well-rounded life is incredible. What did your family say when you were like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm pivoting, I'm gonna be an author now?
You know, it's funny. I don't think I asked permission. I think I think I wrote a book before I ever said anything to them about it.
Wow.
And I wrote Nora Goes Off Script during COVID, basically because I was just sick of hanging around them. I was like, you guys can watch Netflix. I'm going to go do this. And then I sold it. And then I was like, I just sold this book. I'm going to do this now. So yeah,
Incredible.
they've been super supportive. My kids are adults now.
Yeah,
My husband's retired, which is great. So he's like home with the dog when I'm not home with the
yeah.
dog.
That's
So
amazing.
we kind of flipped roles.
So wild. And have your children and your husband, like, have they read what you've written? Like, are you precious about that? Is it something that you're like, do you show them while you're writing what you're up to? Like, how is
Yeah.
that balance?
It's that I love the way you phrased that question, because they would laugh if they were sitting here. It's not me being precious about it. It's them not wanting to read it.
Oh my
So my
gosh.
husband always reads, like when I'm done, he'll read the book and then he'll
Okay.
say, I really that he says that made me very emotional. I really liked it.
That's very
My
sweet.
children are all male.
Okay.
Uh,
And they have no
and
interest.
two of them are like, Mom, this is so embarrassing. Like I don't I don't want to read your kissing books. Like what?
Oh my God. But there's so
But
much
I
more
do have
than
one
kissing
son.
books.
I have one son who will read and is like, and he'll give me notes.
Oh,
He's
oh.
the best one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, wait. Hopefully your other sons don't hear this and then you just outed which
If they
one's your
don't read my
favorite.
books, they're not going to listen to the podcast. Okay.
I
Not in a
love
million
that.
years.
I love that. Okay, so now I obviously want to talk about it's a love story. So before we get into it, can you provide like a little elevator pitch about what this book's about for those who may have not yet read it?
Sure. So Jane Jackson is a former teen star. She was on a show called Pop Rocks, and it's about some teenagers who have a band in high school. And she is the punchline of every scene. She is the one who sits in the plate of nachos and everyone laughs. She has grown up now and she's trying to finally be taken seriously in Hollywood. She's trying to make it as a producer. So as the book starts, she is about to get her very first project greenlit. And this is the thing that's going to put her on the map. A bunch of things happen. The project is falling apart, and she tells a huge lie just to buy herself some time. And then she needs to spend the rest of the book trying to make that lie true. And the only person who can help her is the one guy that she really can't stand. His name's Dan, and he's the worst. But is he really the worst?
Exactly.
Because I
Exactly.
love him so much.
Same. Honestly, same. I read this
I
book
could
in
talk about it all day.
Okay, no, I love that. I basically read this book in pretty much one sitting, I would say. Like I started it and then I had to put it down and then I basically read like I would say 70% of it in truly one afternoon. I
Wow.
loved it. I thought it was so cute. I want to know from your perspective like how the writing process maybe differed for this one. And also your books also like they just like give such like a perfect setting. Like you can really, really understand and like live in this world with your characters. But first, I want to know how maybe like this book in particular differed in the writing process from your others.
So this one took the longest
Okay.
because I was starting over again all the time. I really thought I had I started the book with this idea about a former teen star who doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Um, but it took me forever to nail like how the story would go
Okay.
and how I understood her, but like I just didn't understand what was going to happen. And so I started over again writing this story like 1,000 times. For example,
Wow.
they need to go in pursuit of this pop star. In the first three drafts of this book, I think that pop star was a woman who she's never met.
Wow.
Like I really started this story over a bunch of times.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
very interesting. So like
Yeah.
from the very beginning, did you know that it was going to all be this like lie that she was going to have to kind of
Nope.
make sure? No. So
Nope.
just did it come out of you as you were writing each draft, or was it like you wrote one draft completely and then you're like, this doesn't work, let's take it apart and put it back together? Like what was the whole process?
It's really horrible. I honestly like this should never be a tutorial on how to write. I will write something and then I'll be like it just doesn't feel right. And
Okay.
then I think, what could make it feel right? And I don't start entirely over again, but I am not like shy about ripping things to pieces.
Wow.
And I will go back in and try to do something else. I just didn't have like my finger on the heartbeat of what this story was.
Hmm.
And then it's like such a relief. You know, when you start to feel the story and you
Yeah.
start to feel them together.
Yeah.
And I started to understand Dan in a way that like I hadn't before. Then it's like you're just so relieved.
Right. It gets, I guess, easier the more you get into it. Was it frustrating though to like write this and be like, what am I missing? Why is it not working? Like knowing what the potential of the story could be. Does it frustrate you at all when you're trying to
Yeah,
figure it out?
it's frustrating. It's also kind of like doing a crossword puzzle. Like you sit down with a crossword puzzle, it's going to be hard. You're going to get some stuff wrong. Then
Mhm.
you finish and you're like,
Yeah,
that felt good.
I love
I
that.
love writing. Like I actually, you'll talk to a lot of people who will say, "Oh, it's such a grind," but I love to have written something. I
Mhm.
actually like the whole thing.
Wow.
So yes, it's frustrating, but I kind of lean into it.
And your other books, were they easier to write than this one? Or is this kind
Um,
of the norm for you?
well, the easiest, yeah, no, they're all hard. But the easiest one to write actually was Nora Goes Off Script. And the
Wow.
reason is that I wasn't writing it for anyone. I
Right.
didn't have a contract.
Right.
I didn't think anyone was going to read it.
Mhm.
And I also had all the time in the world.
Right.
Like we were on lockdown.
Yeah.
I was not promoting another book. I was not like, it was just like its own special moment in
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And it was just for fun. So that just was, I think it was easier because there was no pressure.
100%. So this book in particular obviously is like set against this entertainment world backdrop.
Yeah.
What about that world was enticing to you and made you want to kind of explore the whole film background, TV background, also like music licensing? Like there's a lot in there.
Yeah. So I grew up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And my family was like, my grandfather was a butcher. Like we were not in the entertainment industry.
Oh, okay.
But there's something about like being in Los Angeles,
For
like you
sure.
feel it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it.
Yes.
Um, so I like it, and I think it's like it's sort of an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah.
Um, the whole entertainment thing started because I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy.
Oh, her
Yeah.
memoir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I read it and then I read it again. Like I read it twice in a row, like
Wow.
the same day.
Okay.
I loved that book. Like it just spoke to me. Her writing is
Yeah.
unbelievable. But her story spoke to me, and that was never something I wanted to write about. Like all her life was so dark. Like
Yeah.
everything that happened to her was so dark.
Yeah.
But I just thought about all the kids that I've seen grow up on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and what that's like to like go through puberty on TV.
100%.
And you're in this time. I don't know about you, but for me, it was like exploration. Like, how am I going to be? Like you're
Yeah.
trying stuff on. And if you go through that time and you're in a costume and you're reading from a
100%.
script, like I would imagine that you grow up and you have no idea who you are.
Right. No, that's so,
And
so, so
so
true.
that's
Have
where that.
you reached out at all to Jeanette? Like, does she know that she was in? No.
I'm 100% sure she's never heard of me.
I really think that you would be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel as though there's a world in which she knows. And now, especially with this book and kind of having her story, or at least like a piece of what she's lived through, become the inspiration for this, or be at least like a nugget
Yeah.
of something that was inspiring to write about. I think
Well,
she,
she's in the acknowledgments. If she sees it,
oh my gosh,
Jeanette, I'm easy to get in touch with.
I would love
But
that
it's
for you.
funny because, we're of a different generation and my kids watched her growing up.
Right.
So
I watched her growing up.
like, I don't think I ever walked through my kitchen without seeing her face.
Right.
She's just like, she's such a bright light.
I know. And you would never know what she was going through in her
Yeah.
personal life behind the scenes. Wow. Well, now to talk about like the romance aspect of this book, because how could we not? You play with so many tropes in this book. I need to know, what is your favorite trope to play with, and how was it like picking and choosing what you would use in this story specifically for like Jane and Dan's love story?
Okay. So I wish that I had a different answer to this. I never
Okay.
think about tropes.
You don't think
No,
about them? You just,
no, I don't. I don't ever
okay.
think about them. I just
Okay.
start writing a love story. And then when I finish, like this one, when people started reviewing it, they're like, it's a second chance romance. And I'm like, oh, I think they're thinking of a different book. But they did meet before.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Wow.
But in a story, like I love close proximity.
Of
Like I will
course.
always
Of
stick you in an
course.
elevator together, or whatever that is. I just like, it's my favorite thing.
Mhm.
So I don't think about it when I'm writing.
Okay.
My favorite trope to read
Yes.
is the dumbest trope there is, fake dating.
Oh, that's the best. I love that. I
It's
love
the
a fake
best.
dating. I love a
Yeah.
fake dating.
Has it ever happened to you?
No, not in my real life.
No, because it's never happened to anyone. It
No,
is
I
not
think
a thing.
no, I feel as though it could be a thing when it's like two friends that like secretly like each other and they have to be one of each other's dates to a wedding and we're putting on a ruse. Like I feel like those situations happen, but I agree that in most romance books when it's like we're pulling a fast one on our families and it's like weeks and weeks and weeks of us that I just can't believe that that's a real thing. But I
No,
love
I can't either. But if I open a book and that's happening, I will
your
not
soul.
sleep until I
Yeah.
finish that book. It
Okay.
is catnip to me. I don't
Okay.
know why. I love it.
Mine, I think, is Second Chance Romance, which I feel is a reason why this book hit so well for me. But I also love a childhood friends to lovers, but like they haven't seen each other in a long time. So kind of
Yeah.
Second Chance again. Those
Yeah.
ones really get me. And also I'm just a sucker for any type of forced proximity. I love
Yeah,
that.
me too.
So
Me
in the
too.
book, when Jane goes back to Dan's hometown and we have that whole Dan's whole family interaction stuff, what was that like to write? Because I know just from early reviews, I don't know if you're someone that reads early reviews, but I'll be happy to be the first one to tell you if you're not aware that people are like loving that part of the story and those dynamics. So what was that like to write? And how did that whole idea of kind of going back to Dan's hometown to get to the musician, like that whole part of the story come to you?
So they were going to go somewhere and I didn't know where. But
Okay.
in the back of my mind for years, I've always wanted to write the giant male Irish American family.
Okay, I love
Um,
that.
I think about this a lot. Like I actually thought about this before I even ever thought about this book.
Okay.
I love like when I walk into like one of these big, loud families, not
Yeah.
necessarily male, Finnegans
Yeah,
are
yeah,
all,
yeah.
where they greet each other by insulting each other.
Hmm.
And it's like there's no tension because there isn't the, oh, so you're back.
Right.
There's never that because they
Yeah.
just like come out with it right away.
Yeah.
And it's so easy and comfortable.
Yeah.
I think I'd been thinking about this family for a long time and they just came right out. Like that
Yeah.
was the easiest part of this book to write. Like
Love
all of
that.
their personalities and all the stuff between them just kind of came out on its own.
So fun. When like writing this book, were there things that you were, or parts of the story that you were really like trying to make work because you knew that like it would be so good for the story, but in the end you couldn't figure it out and they made it on like they were just left on the cutting room floor, like knowing how many times you rewrite and try different things until it feels right. Was there something that you were like really, really, really trying for that in the end you were like, not for this one, but maybe for another book?
Yes. No, not to keep.
Okay,
Not
not
to
to keep.
keep, but Jane has the frontliner for the band that she was in on
Mhm.
TV. She was in the story. Like she showed up in Long Island
Oh
at
my
this event
God.
and something. And I hung out onto that for a long time.
Okay.
Before my editor is like, I don't feel a pulse. Like it's not working. And I think she's definitely right about that.
Okay. Okay, fair. And then in terms of like writing the romance part of this book and like having Jane and Dan fall in love, like what was your favorite, looking back, like favorite scene to write that kind of poured out of you immediately and you were like, yeah, no notes. I don't need to go back and fix this. This is what it's supposed to be.
When they're at the bonfire, they're on the beach for dinner, and his old girlfriend's there, and they're sitting together. She's had a little too much to drink. That scene just like came out really easily because
Okay.
by then she had enough in her to feel a little possessive of
Right.
him,
Yeah.
um, which is hard. This is actually the book I'm writing right now. We could workshop this. No,
Yeah. Yes, let's do it.
but you write a book, you write it sequentially,
Yeah.
and then I end up moving things around. And
Hmm.
then I end up with this Frankenstein kind of a book where the feelings aren't smooth.
Oh,
So it's like, oh, I met you. You seem like a nice person. Wow, I'm super attracted to you. This could never, like, there has to be a normal progression of your feelings throughout a story.
yeah.
Um, and it takes a while to get that right, which is something you didn't
Especially
ask. But
yeah, and I
I'm
guess no,
thinking,
and I guess especially if you're kind of like you said, like Frankensteining it, or I call it like Mr. Potato Heading it, and you're like taking pieces
yes,
from different parts, and then you're trying to like realign it. I can
yes.
imagine. So, what is your like editing process like, especially in a book like this where you're reworking things so many times? Like, is it constantly an editing process? Are you like trying to get one through it at least once before you're moving things around? Like what's that like, especially in
So
this book?
I've had the same editor for since Nora Goes Off Script. So this
Okay.
that It's a Love Story is our fourth book together. And
Mhm.
the way it usually goes is I send her a draft and we have a conversation.
Okay.
And then I write another draft.
Okay.
And then she sends me an editorial letter for that second draft, which is like 12 pages long, single spaced.
Okay.
It's a gruesome thing with
Crazy.
all the things that she thinks needs to be changed in the book. We maybe do that twice.
And do
And then
you
after
accept all
that,
those changes? Like, how does that? Sorry to
well,
interrupt.
oh, and then we have a conversation.
Right. But
So
are there things that you can be like, no, I disagree, and you keep?
totally.
Okay.
Totally. The
Wow.
thing is, this is like the thing to know. She's the smartest person in the world. Literally, she's so smart that sometimes I'm like, no, all right, she's right. She's right. Right again. So I generally like, she's almost always right.
Wow.
But sometimes there's things I feel really strongly about. And I know that in the writing of the book, I didn't do it right, which is why she doesn't like it. So I ask her, I'm like, can I have one more chance with this?
Hmm. Okay.
And then I will keep it.
Wow.
Did you read Summer Romance last year?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So that was my book last summer. And
Yes.
the main character is a skateboarder. And
Okay.
she was like, absolutely not. No one wants to have sex with a skateboarder.
That's like so not true. I disagree.
Well, there is probably some truth to it.
No, but
But
like
I was
Skater Boy, Avril Lavigne, I feel like for like nostalgia purposes, solely on that, people
right.
like my age, like late 20s, early mid 30s, nostalgia, I would.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I
Was
asked
it
her, I'm
changed
like,
to
give
you?
me another draft. I'll sell it to you. And then he turns out to be a skateboarder. So I won that one.
Okay, so I have to immediately add this book to my TBR, is what we're saying now.
It's fun.
This is my next one I'm adding. No, but I really, really, really loved this book. And I just loved how like swoony it was. And I loved like the arc that Jane goes on, her character arc. And I just love a book also when there's just like an adventure. Like when there's just, it's not just like people's mundane lives. It's like there's an actual something happening. There's stakes that are high. How was it like writing the end of the book and then kind of had tying it all up together? What are you hoping that maybe audiences take away from this book? What are you hoping people feel? What's like the goal here with how the book kind of ended without, I guess, giving spoilers? But we know it's a
For
happy
me,
ending.
yeah, I'm always going to give you a happy ending.
Yeah.
Always. Sometimes I'll get messages from people reading my books, like, how could you? I'm like, come on, it's a romance. It's going to
Yeah.
end up fine. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. No one
Yeah.
dies. But I want people to feel good while they're reading my books. And I want them to feel good when they finish my books. That's
Yeah.
basically all I care about. If I can get some extra credit, I really want people to take a look at the stories that they tell themselves about their own worth and about their place in the world. I think when we're growing up, people say things to us, we witness things, we take on all this, we attach all this meaning to the things that happen to us that really have nothing to do with ourselves.
Mhm.
And I think it's a really worthy thing to do in, your 30s and at any age, to like just stop and take a look and say, am I unworthy because I'm unworthy, or is it because someone said so? Or am I not good at this because I was told I'm not good at this? Like just to
Yeah.
look at the stories.
I love that. So what are we working on now? I know you said that we were workshopping something, but what's
Yeah.
happening
So
now?
I'm having a really fun time with this book. And I will tell you, it's fake dating. It's my first foray into fake dating.
So how is that to write, knowing like how much you love the trope and it's your favorite to read? Like, do you feel not pressure,
I
but
hope I do it justice,
yeah, that's what I
honestly.
meant. Yeah.
Like it's real because it's just so absurd, but I love it. And it actually makes sense why they would need to do this. I hope.
I'm
I
so
don't know.
excited. So do you
Anyway,
have any, yeah.
she works at her dad's fish shop, and she needs to pose as the girlfriend to the heir to this great real estate fortune. They're up near Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Everything's really beautiful. All the
That
clothes
sounds
are really beautiful.
it sounds like picturesque. Like I'm so excited. Do we have any idea timeline wise? Like where are we at with the current draft and do we know when it'll be out?
So my books usually come out the first week in June, the last
Yeah.
week in May. So That's
Same
I think.
timeline.
Yeah, I think it's the same
Timeline.
time. My
So,
whole life is like Groundhog Day. It's like the best Groundhog Day, but it's like this is what I do the first week in June.
so crazy. So at what point in like this journey, like in It's a Love Story, did you start working on the book you're working on now? Like, is it just constant kind of almost repetition of like these are the steps I'm taking to maintain the schedule of publishing a book once a year,
Yeah.
mid-spring or whatever?
Yeah. So the thing about writing a book every year is the book takes a year
Yeah.
because it can't take longer than that. Like,
No, it's not allowed.
no, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And I
Yeah.
actually pushed this It's a Love Story to the limit of everybody's patience because it wasn't quite right. Um, so I started the book that I'm writing now a little bit later than I might have.
Okay.
But theoretically, if, Penguin Random House, all the things work,
Yeah.
this should be done by the end of the summer.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so, so much for taking the time. This was so fun. And I can't wait for everybody to read It's a Love Story. And when this podcast is out, the book will be out. So everyone could go and grab it and then see you on tour.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
please
you
do
so
come see
much.
me on tour. I'm really excited.
I hope everyone will. Be so fun.